doing?
I'm good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm doing pretty
I'm
good.
ready.
We're ready?
Yeah.
We're ready for Wednesday Night
Live.
Live. We have some new lights.
Yep.
We're trying a new lighting thing. So let us know. Can you tell? Is it any different? Is it better? Is it worse? Shall we keep trying? I don't know.
Should we start over?
I know. It's so funny because we are so not techie people,
Yeah.
right? And it takes so much tech to me put my phone in do not disturb. Because it takes so much tech to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in over our heads.
Always.
So if you have any audio, video, lighting advice, we
Mhm.
talked today about maybe finding a photographer or somebody like a lighting consultant. So if you know anybody that is a great photographer, knows a lot about lighting, let us know.
Yep.
For one, we need new headshots for the TV show.
Yes.
And two, we need some lighting advice
Mhm.
for the TV show as well. But it's going to be fun and it's going to be
Your
exciting.
entertainment is happening.
Is it right?
They're showing
Okay.
off in the chair.
That's fine.
They're cute.
They're extra. They're your bonus show. When you tune into lives, you just never know.
Yeah.
It is so funny because they are like 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy squirrels.
They're busy.
Yes, they are. So let me adjust my mic here. I know we're always kind of like, I wonder if they're going to ever knock the lights over. If you ever see the TV go scrambling or the lights, it happened. They're so funny.
I would say these are pretty sturdy, but you never know.
Yeah.
They're pretty strong.
They are, but we've got our new camera stand coming. We donated our other camera stand when we went out of town to there.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, we need to order them. We need
Mhm.
to order our
A new
stand now.
one.
Okay, let's see. Apology languages. That is what we are talking about today. Wednesday Night Live.
Mhm.
Apology languages, part
Part three.
3. Just to kind of go over some announcements, we have our emotions and money class ongoing. So excited. Aren't you really excited about
Mhm.
the class that
Yeah.
we have?
It's been great so far.
We have a great group of people,
Mhm.
and
yeah.
it's our first online hybrid class.
Right.
That so we're having to learn the software, and it's just really great. Few little hiccups here and there, but for the most part,
Yeah, I think it's going
we
well.
are rock stars.
We are. We're rocking it.
For not tech people, we are making it happen.
For not tech people, we get a lot of tech stuff done.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say it. but
Self-taught tech people.
No, I was going to make a joke, but it probably wouldn't be good.
We are live.
That's what I was saying. I was like, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut. This Sunday, on the first and the third Sundays, we
Mhm.
do Roundtable Sunday. And what that is people come in at 5:30 and we do some worship. We do some teaching, applying principles, and some activations. So wherever you go to church, it doesn't matter. Like, come here, 5:30.
Mhm.
Everybody's welcome. And it's really neat because it's I guess, we really have a draw and a passion for leaders in the
Mhm.
kingdom.
Yeah.
And really, even a lot of times before they even know that they're leaders in the kingdom.
Mhm.
But it's exciting because on Roundtable Sunday, we talk about a lot of principles that help people get free, get healed, and get activated in their purpose.
Mhm.
So Sunday nights, 5:30 to 7:30.
The first and the
5:30 to
third
5:30 to
month.
7:30.
Yeah.
The first and the third. So
Yeah.
it's 5:30 to 7:30, right?
It's 5:30 to 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people talk, and it's very relaxed.
It's very
and-
interactive.
Yeah. And,
Hands-on,
mhm.
interactive, talking about principles. So
It's fun.
if you haven't been to a Roundtable Sunday, make sure you come.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't matter where you go to church. Like, it's a non-denominational, it's all people, all denominations, all segments are welcome. This Saturday, every second Saturday of the month, we have a spiritual growth workshop. This last one we had was breaking free from chaos.
Mhm.
It was really good. It was
Yeah.
a fun workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they all are, but chaos, woo, chaos is crazy in our lives. And then Grace Awakening Network, our program will start on Grace Awakening Network, God willing, July 5th, the day after 4th of July. So God willing, we'll be
And the creek
on
don't
there
rise.
and going, and it's going to be fun. We'll be on Grace Awakening Network at 7:30 Central.
You want to say what you're going to talk about?
We would, well, do what?
Do you want to say what our first
No,
show is going to be?
Not
Okay.
yet, not
All right.
yet. Don't give away the
I wasn't going
farm.
to give it away. I didn't know if you wanted to say.
No, not too much. We're gonna,
All right.
but there's a lot of things coming up that we'll begin to
Yeah.
talk. That we'll begin to talk about, because we haven't really locked in.
That's true.
So
It's not 100%.
it could be. You never know.
There's still plenty of time for that to
for
bounce
it
around.
to shift. Not too much time, but a little bit of
That's
time
true.
for it to shift.
That's right.
So we did our announcements. Let's go on to chit chat.
Mhm.
For the chit chat segment, what you got to chit chat about? Chit chat, Kit Kat.
I think the only exciting thing.
The
This is-
only exciting thing.
This is the most. Yeah. This is like the most exciting thing that's happening in my life.
You have.
I bought this.
I thought you were
I
going to talk about somebody's birthday, but that you
Oh.
have two exciting things.
Yeah, my niece's birthday
Yes.
is today. That's
Shout out,
exciting.
Olivia.
She's 18. She's my
Mm.
oldest niece. Whoop whoop. My God, she's 18.
That's crazy.
What's happening?
What exciting thing did you purchase?
So I have a cup obsession, and
Mhm.
well, not an
That's
obsession,
true.
but I do love cups. And I had one that I bought, and then I put it in the dishwasher, but it did not survive, and it was real sad. I was real sad
Yeah.
because I had just bought it. It was my
Yes.
newest one. So
She has an extreme cup obsession.
the largest cabinet in my kitchen is full of
Cups.
cups. I've found
There are
other
never.
spaces
I've
to put
learned
other
there are
dishes.
never too many cups
No,
to be had.
How can you have too many? You never know. You want what are you gonna
You
feel
can't
like
have
drinking
too
out
many.
of? I will say I only have as many that will fit neatly in my
That's-
cabinet,
see,
and
that's good.
anything that doesn't fit, I have to swap out. Like I won't
Man.
keep. I'll
Yeah.
swap. I have to get rid of something.
If you're a cup, man, you gotta struggle to make it in Christina's house.
And I kept it because the
Mhm.
lid wouldn't quite go on right, and I was like, maybe I could still use it. And then I was like, I'm just gonna have to get rid of it. And I thought maybe I could still find another one because these are cups that they only sell so many, and you have to get them and
Yeah.
all that. Anyway, I went by a store that carries them, and I went in, and they had it, and it was on sale, and I was super pumped. So
Yay. That's pretty.
I
You got to
replaced my cup.
replace it, and you got to replace it on sale.
that's right.
That's awesome.
So the little joys in life.
yes, it is about the little joys
I agree.
in life, and I will confirm it is a very beautiful cup. The
It
color
is.
was so beautiful. I was like, I might need one of those.
Well, I make every day before I leave. I make a drink to take with me,
Mhm.
and I go, okay, what kind of goes with my mood today? So
yeah.
it's in the rotation.
I will say, if you ride in the car with Christina, you have to fight for a cup holder.
Oh yeah, they're all taken, and I
'Cause
have
there's
extra ones
many.
that I've put in there.
Because she doesn't take just one
You
drink.
have to have multiple
have to have
beverages.
options.
That's right. Well, and I work out of my car a lot.
Yep.
I travel for my job outside of here as well,
Mhm.
and I don't want to just have to drink water all day.
Why should you?
Exactly.
Here at the ministry too, we have many options.
I
We
have
many
definitely-
beverage options.
Introduced you to the world of cups.
Did you do?
I'm not gonna lie, you don't hate it.
I don't. I like a lot of drinks.
You do.
I do. I like
Mhm.
a lot of different types of drinks. So
Yes, and different drinks should go in different types of cups.
that's what I have learned.
I'm just saying. Anyway, so honestly, it's been a work heavy week, and it's getting hot outside. So that is my exciting thing for the week. What about you? How's your week been?
Well, let's see. My week has been hectic
Yeah.
in the way that we're starting so many things
Mhm.
that it's just, I feel like I have been like my work-life balance is
Right.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. Sometimes it gets that way sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's fun to do it. But I'm like, man, I need some fun. I need some fun. So, but I'm going to have a little bit of fun this weekend.
Yeah?
In between working, I'm going to go see
What?
a movie. What movie?
Oh, yeah. You said you're gonna go see Inside Out too.
Yes, Inside Out too.
Yay!
A lot of times we'll have our clients watch Inside Out. And so
Yeah.
really pumped about Inside
Me
Out
too. I
2
can't wait to
coming.
see it.
I
Mm-hmm.
know. I'll have to go twice maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll have
I'm
to
sure
see
it'll
it
be good.
again because I love. But I'm so excited. I'll be going this Saturday to see it.
Fun.
I know. So it works out well. Working on the TV show stuff,
Mhm.
and then I will take a
Yeah.
little break and run to the movies.
Woohoo! You love going to the movies.
Oh my gosh, I love going to the
Yeah,
movies.
me
And you
too.
know when
The
I
sum-
love
the
going to the
summer-
movies?
In the summer when it's hot.
When it's hot, and guess what the theater is?
Empty.
And cold
That's
during the
true.
day. I doubt when I go Saturday it'll be.
Oh, that's
empty.
true.
But Christina also introduced me to my favorite movie place.
Oh my gosh. Should we tell?
Then
don't know
people
that-
will go.
Exactly.
Message us privately if you want to
If
know.
you wanna
We'll
know the
share
name
the
of the
information.
place.
But it is the best place.
It is.
Yes.
Well, we like, if we're gonna do something,
We
we're
like to
gonna
do it
it
right.
That's right. So
So we have fun at our special little theater
We
when we
do.
go to movies. But
we're big movie people.
Yes, I think the best thing is going during the day
Mm-hmm.
before
Oh yeah.
before school lets out, and just sneaking away during the day and going to see just a really good movie. But sometimes
Mhm.
it's hard to find a really good movie.
Sometimes it's just fun to go.
It is.
You know, whether the movie's great or okay,
Mhm.
sometimes it's just fun to go.
I love going to movies.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think he.
Do it.
Okay. I was just thought he had something, but he's okay.
Hopefully he doesn't have a piece of glass.
That's what I was worried about, but I don't think it is.
Come on, Rocco. Let's check you out. Come on.
Dropped it. It's great.
Okay. Yep, we had our mishap with the
Yeah.
glass, but that's okay.
We're not trying to have any hurt puppies around here.
Nope, 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 nope. So it's enough of chit chat. We could go. We could chit chat for a long time. I feel like
Oh yeah,
we
absolutely.
could just. Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much to talk about.
Always.
So a small review before we get started on our Wednesday Night Live Apology Languages Part 3.
Mhm.
What we're going to talk about last week, actually, we talked about expressing regret. We didn't get very far. um, on the first, the part 1, we kind of went over an overview.
Mhm.
Part 2, we did a lot of general stuff plus expressing regret. So
That's true.
I think we covered a lot,
Mhm.
but we only got through one apology language. Again, remember with apology languages, what an apology language is, it's the first door that you go through that will begin to open your heart. And depending upon the hurt, depending upon the circumstances, you really need all the languages. But there's usually one that will be like, open up your heart door.
Mhm.
So last week we talked about expressing regret. Today, which one are we talking about? We were going to talk about it last week, but we didn't get there and we didn't want to hurry through it.
Yeah, we
Which
talked
one?
about yes,
This week,
accepting responsibility.
Yes.
I couldn't remember what all I can remember of that. I can't remember the name of it. I just remember it's like the one where you say, "I was wrong." I'm sorry. What was
Say that again. Say that again.
I was wrong.
There's some apology languages, not going to lie. You kind of choke on it. They get caught on your throat a little bit. I was right? Wrong. Remember, with expressing regret, that's kind of, to me, like the easiest one, but
Mhm.
that is my main one. So,
Yeah.
of course, I would think that feels the easiest. All you have to say is, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And there's some, go back and watch the last live if you want the specifics on it. But I think accepting responsibility, people, that apology language, they really like to hear I was wrong.
Yep.
Like from people. And I think that's hard on a lot of people
Mhm.
because sometimes I would say if it's something that's concrete, then like we were talking about, like, if it's something that is black and white, it's very easy. Like, if I was like, threw a glass of water on you. Like,
Yeah.
it's so funny. Lily was commenting on, because we talked about last week.
Oh, about stabbing?
I'm like, if I stepped on your toe, you're like, if I stabbed you. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I was trying to think of another extreme
I know, because
that might take a little longer for me to be like, no problem.
we don't have a lot of extreme stuff happen here. So, like, if I threw a glass of water on you, obviously I'd be wrong, like in an argument or something. If I completely melted down and deregulated and I just threw a glass of water on you, that's black and white. I mean, I think we can all agree that would be rude. That would be wrong. It would be disrespectful. So in that case, I think it's very easy for us to say, wow, I was wrong.
Yeah.
We talked about not everything needs an apology, in the way that some things are just personal preference, and then it becomes a matter of, do you care? Do you care that you hurt somebody's feelings? And so I would say, when it's concrete, when it's black and white, it's very easy to say, oh my gosh, I was so wrong.
Right.
But what about if it's something that's subjective? What if it's something that is colored by my experiences? Like, I'll say some people don't like certain words. And if you use that word, then that can be very offensive to them. Like, sometimes if you say, like, oh my gosh, you totally freaked out over that. Like,
oh yeah,
to some people, like,
that's offensive.
If you said to me, oh my God, you totally freaked out, or oh my gosh, I totally freaked out, that wouldn't be a big deal, I don't think, to everyone, to either one of us. But there are some people, if you insinuate that they freaked out, like, that brings a whole different anchor of experiences, and that's a very subjective thing to that person.
Yeah.
So that person would be like, I need an apology for that. Or, most people don't demand
or
apologies.
It really hurt my feelings when you said I freaked out.
And then if they're accepting responsibility, they want to hear, I was wrong to say that. And it's like,
But that
was I?
But that was my experience of what I saw you doing. Yeah.
And so sometimes apology languages can be a little hairy. And some of them just aren't your language, so it doesn't come natural. So in that, what I would really encourage you to always do is to say, the biggest thing is not making it right or wrong, not speaking, you're not defending your motivation. If the person got hurt, wow, I was wrong to hurt you. I'm so sorry. And so you want to think of it in terms of there's not a right and wrong. Which this is, accepting responsibility. It makes it wrong. They want to hear that, but understand that you're talking about that they got hurt. And I think everybody cares whether they hurt somebody that we love. I can hear him digging a hole in that.
In that chair.
He's trying to get himself comfortable.
I don't know what he's doing.
So
he's going after it.
What's interesting, for each of these apology languages, there's examples in the Bible. 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive our sins, purify us from all unrighteousness. And it's just interesting that there's different examples, different scriptures that really go along with the love, not the love languages, but they also have them for the love languages, but for the apology languages. So just understand that they are biblical principles. We all heal in different ways. We all heal in the presence of Jesus. We always want Jesus to be around and healing, and Jesus to be in the center of our conversations. Also, one of the things, it just bears repeating to talk about, if your relationship is in the ER, is in the ICU, apology languages aren't really going to help much.
Right.
It's going to help, but it's not going to fix what you have going on. Apology languages should be part of your communication system to keep communication and connection open. But you're not going to win your spouse back by an apology language.
Yeah.
You might open their heart back up a little bit more, but it is important to understand that all these things that we do for communication, they're preventative, so they keep your relationship in a good place.
Yeah. If you're in the ER or the ICU, you've got a well of
just come on
things
in.
to
Just
sift
come
through.
on in.
Yeah.
If you're in the ER or the ICU, come in.
Yeah. This is a skill to maintain your relationship connection and through the little bumps of life.
Because, if you hurt the person that you love, it's easily fixable, right? In the way that there's just a little there. I mean, and I hate to, qualify hurt like that. Some things hurt more than others. But if you have many and multiple hurt upon hurt, that gets a little bit dicey in the way that if you don't resolve a hurt, then another hurt comes up, then another hurt and another hurt. And a lot of times, sometimes you just got to come in and, go through a process of removing some of these hurts. But usually it's not about what you're fighting about. It's usually like a deep root. Like, say if a couple comes in and they're like, they never do this. They never do this. A lot of times what couples are fighting about is, I don't feel important to you. I don't feel loved. I don't feel important to you. And so apology languages, they're not going to fix everything. But if you make them part of your life, it really does make a difference because it says, I care that I hurt you.
Yeah.
And you can be right or wrong, or you can be in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. But with accepting responsibility, I think that can look a lot of different ways, and not even saying that you're wrong. Accepting responsibility, like I said, when it's something concrete, it's very easy. But another way that I would say, accepting responsibility is, if I have a feeling, I'm going to take ownership for that feeling. Like if you and I were talking and I would say, wow, because it goes both ways. Like when that was said, I got really hurt. Wow, I can take ownership, or you could take ownership and say something like, wow, I'm so sorry that I hurt you. Like, that's kind of expressing regret, but it's also beginning to take accepting responsibility. I hurt you, and I hate that I hurt you. I hurt you, and I want to not ever hurt you again. And so there's a lot of different, sometimes the apology languages run together, but accepting responsibility, if I take ownership of that act, it's not even about saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not even about saying I was wrong. But if you take accountability, responsibility, I did that. That hurt you. I was wrong.
Yeah. And what's so funny is that the thing people struggle the most with, in my opinion, from what I have seen, the thing people struggle the most with in apologizing in general is that they believe that an apology is an admission
of guilt,
of wrong or guilt or, anything. And so to say I was wrong.
But what's crazy is, for this apology language, that person believes you were wrong.
And needs to hear you say that.
And wants to, and not just say it, they want you to know, I need to, just like we were talking about, and it's all about perspective. It really is. Even just like, say, you and I are both expressing regret. So I'm sorry. What do I need to know? What do you need to know? We need to know they're sorry. Because if I know that they're sorry, then they won't do it next time. Same thing with accepting responsibility, except it feels different because that's not our primary one.
Yeah.
So accepting responsibility, if you know you're wrong in what you did, then you won't repeat it, because it's all about us not getting hurt again. Each of the, what we need to hear for the apology language. So like I said, that's, some of them are a little bit more difficult for people when it's not black and white.
Yeah. Well, I will say this is a close second for me.
Yes.
This one is like,
I was wrong.
Thank you.
She suspected it all along. No, I would definitely agree.
Yeah,
we were teasing earlier about, what we were teasing about something. And
we were talking about how much I like to be right.
I was just joking.
I was like, this is something we say in my family, though. Go ahead, write it down. Write it down.
She told me to write it down.
Write down what I said.
I was like, need to be right much?
I know.
But in there, like I said, everything is a perspective. And if you understand that everybody has a different perspective, and it's usually different than you. I would say for me, I do like people taking responsibility is very important to me.
Right, I agree.
But at the same time, I don't personally need to hear somebody was wrong.
Right.
I more care so that they take ownership of it.
Yeah.
And so that can look a little different for me.
So,
I don't need to hear I was wrong from somebody because remember my primary one is just tell me you're sorry. Just
expressing
tell me
regret.
that you regret it.
Okay, but tell me, because when you said that, I thought, what's the difference between because this is called accepting responsibility.
It is.
It's just that one of the key words to
That
use
most
that
people
is I was wrong.
Yes.
Because another one I want to hear is if I could go back.
That's expressing regret, though, I would say.
Okay.
Like, I regret my action. If I could press redo, if I could rewind, I would never have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me,
Yeah.
too. But I was going to say, what's the difference in accepting responsibility and taking ownership?
Well, again, I
Because to
think
me, it's the same. In my mind, it's the same.
well, but that's why I point out, because somebody might be, their apology language might be accepting responsibility, but they don't necessarily need to hear the words "I was wrong." Like
Okay.
to me, ownership and taking responsibility is a big thing around here.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I hear that. Because I heard you say I need people to take ownership. So that's why
Yes.
I'm thinking.
So I don't need to hear those exact words.
Right.
But some people really need to hear "I was wrong."
Right. So, but saying I'm sorry is still taking ownership. Saying I wish I could go back.
Yes, it's taking ownership of the apology, but I guess what it would look like if you didn't say "I was wrong." Like, instead of saying "I was wrong," sometimes we can say, I totally see how you look at it that way.
Oh, that's good
Like
too.
that would be a different way because I don't think everybody has to hear "I was wrong."
Yeah.
And what I would suggest is if you are accepting responsibility, I think "I was wrong" is very triggering for 95% of the population.
I agreed.
Because then it gets into fault and people kind of will fight about that a little bit more. So if you can come up with some other phrases, and that's good, we should probably come up with some different phrases.
Yeah.
Even just like if somebody would say to me, wow, I can totally own that, I could totally own that.
I'll
"That's
say,
good."
oh, you know what? That was me.
Yes.
That was my bad.
Yes.
I will say that a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like if somebody says that word, and I do actually say, I could see that. I say that a lot to people.
So I think I was wrong. A lot of people have to hear that, but understand that is so triggering for most people because then it turns it into fault. And usually if we're hurt, we're going to fight about our motivation. Like if I say to you, you were so wrong to say that to me. Like you were wrong. Like, that's
Yeah.
just like it gets our little cackles up.
It does.
And not only that, I'm speaking like you would want to defend your motivation. Well, I didn't mean it that way. Like it kind of just is. If we could take that out. Now hear me. If it's this is something if it's kind of more abstract, if it's in the gray area. But a lot of times people with accepting responsibility, they feel that way, even if it's more what I would call subjective.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's black and white, I'm wrong. Like, oh my gosh, I am just wrong in that. If I called you out of your name, I would be like, I'm so sorry for talking to you, speaking to you that way. But if it's something like, we kind of talked about, like, oh, that's crazy. Like, some people would be like, you just call me crazy?
Right.
Like, no. She just said it's just a phrase. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But whatever triggers somebody, like the biggest question is, wow, do I care that they're hurt?
Right.
And really get that perspective. And so sometimes I don't think I was wrong really plays into it, but you still want to take responsibility. I want to take responsibility that I hurt you.
Right.
Even if I didn't mean to hurt you, even if I don't feel like I said something that was hurtful, I still can take ownership for that.
Absolutely. I remember the first lesson I got in apologizing for I don't want to say for the other person, but really for that's what I mean, it's like
it felt like because you didn't feel wrong.
I was like, no, and honestly, I was like, and if I could go back, I would
I'm gonna do the same thing.
probably, because it wasn't something I did out of malice. It was something.
Well, that's
It
what
was
I
a,
mean.
it was a gray area kind of
Yes.
situation.
That wasn't black and white.
Right.
It wasn't concrete.
Right.
Yeah.
But did I care more about
Mhm.
trying to prove my point, or did I care more about just if that helped that person, if that healed their heart, if that
Yeah.
opened
Then
them
100%
back up?
Just do it.
Right. And I will say, once I opened that door and I saw, because it's amazing what happens when you apologize. What I mean,
Huge.
it's very vulnerable to do it,
It
because what
is.
happens is
Yes.
it opens up a place in each one of us
Mhm.
to be able to connect. So when
Yeah.
I saw it open up that space in them, I mean, honestly, after that, the apology came out. I apologized, and then they opened up, and then
Mhm.
it just, I mean, genuinely apologized.
Yes.
It just poured out of them, and then I really did feel bad that I hurt them,
Yeah.
even though I still didn't feel like I was like right or wrong in
Yeah.
it.
And I think like one of the biggest things that came up for you is like we tend to think something is about our motive. Our motive doesn't have it's about the other person's experience. And if it hurt them, it just hurt them.
Right.
And so to speak to that experience that they're having is huge.
Yeah.
And you could have defended your motivation. You'd be like, I wasn't trying to hurt you, and I don't particularly think that would
Right.
because we look at it through the lens of, well, that wouldn't hurt me.
Well, I remember thinking, well, do you know what you did to me? You know?
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
So I was like, but you have to focus on that issue. You have to
did.
focus on that thing. You can't be like, well, I know you're upset, but blah, 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 blah. You know,
Yes.
you have to stay focused on that thing. And so, but I will say it was a huge lesson for me, and it was a
was.
huge turning point to where I was like, that is what apologizing is for.
Yeah.
And that's what it can
And
do.
I was so proud of you because you really did a great job. Because I would say, like, looking from the outside, the other person did the bigger offense.
100%.
Yeah, but you were in an ongoing relationship with that
Mhm.
person, and if you were going to restore and make connection, you both had to.
You got to own up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Got
you
to
gotta
pony up.
Do you want to reconnect, or do you
Mhm.
not want to reconnect?
Or do you want to stay focused on that
Mhm.
offense because you feel like it's bigger?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because and that's why I continually say relationship can't be about right or wrong.
Right.
It just can't. It can't. Well, a better way to say it can't be about fault. If
Mhm.
you care more about finding who's at fault than restoring the connection, you don't know what relationships are,
Mhm.
and you need to come in really quickly.
We can help you.
Yes, because you have relationships for everything. You have a relationship with yourself. You have if you're going to blame other people in relationships, guess what you're also doing?
Blaming yourself.
You're blaming yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're in a relationship with God, which everybody is, if you're a blamer, you blame God. Like,
Yep.
take a look at whose fault everything is, and if you're a person who it's everybody else's fault, because when we're either like kind of healthy with it, or we're a blamer. And a blamer means I blame myself. If you're blaming yourself, you're still blaming. A healthy way is to take responsibility, to take accountability.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, again, this accepting responsibility, apology language can be really messy, because accepting a responsibility can look a little different
Mm-hmm.
to different people. Like I said, the word I'm wrong is just triggering if it isn't. If it's black and white, then you need to say, you pony up, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. Like, just pony up. But if it's something subjective, that's where I'm sorry, or I'm sorry, that's where I'm wrong gets kind of messy,
Mm-hmm.
because people will fight over their motivation, or they'll fight over, you know what, do I really need to be sorry about that? Because nothing was wrong with
Right.
that. And then that's where you have to decide, am I going to fight over fault, or am I just going to say, wow, that's, you got hurt. That's totally on me.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt you.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no desire to do that.
Yeah. And so it's harder if you're accepting responsibility and you have more of a a gray area wound, one that's not so black and white. You know, if I slapped you, that would be wrong. If I used a word that's offensive to you, you know, like one could make a point that, well, you just need to understand that I didn't mean that offensively. Like we could fight over that and see who was at fault or who's, you know, it's not bad that I said that. The word's not bad, but you're going to do that back and forth and make the relationship awkward, or you're just going to take responsibility for it. I'll never use that word again. Apologize.
So what do you feel like is really what gets in the way for people? Is it ego? Is it pride? Is it
you're talking about not just for this one, but for all?
Yeah, in general. To be willing to offer up. Like I think the scenario that you've used a couple times is like saying a word that's offensive to someone. Like I had a friend who had a word that really just, I mean, I couldn't even play around and say it. It was a joking word, and they told me, and I totally was like, no problem. Eliminate it from my vocabulary. 'Cause that's fine. But in that, like that, if somebody came and said, because some people's response would be, I don't care, get over it. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
You know? So what?
And that is very damaging to a relationship. The minute you tell somebody you don't care about how they feel or how their experience or how they received it, you damage the relationship.
So what stops people? What is so hard about taking that step to apologize?
You know, sometimes it is just plain ego. Like, you know, I don't want to be wrong, so I'm not going to say that. But I will say most of the times, I think it's just about perspective to where I don't think I did that. And so instead of just having an argument about it, look at it from the other person's perspective. If you're hurt, if I care about the relationship, what I care about is if you're hurt or not. And if I've done something to hurt you, it doesn't have to be on purpose. It doesn't have to be what you would consider. Because remember, our metric for whether I hurt you or not typically is if that would hurt me. If that wouldn't hurt me,
very true.
Then I don't see how you're hurt about that. And so we'll fight about stupid stuff in relationships that cause disconnection that really it isn't that important. But usually what happens also additionally is that we get triggered. And when we get triggered, we're irrational. We're not making sense. So let's say if I had a trigger of not feeling enough and you said something and I felt like that was kind of somehow mirroring my fear or mirroring my wounds. Now you would never intend to do that. You would never say anything like that. But if somehow through my filters, I read that as you were, you know, literally what we do sometimes is I would hear like, tell me I'm not enough.
You are not enough.
And like,
I can't even.
I know. But you could be saying something totally different, and that's all that person hears.
I could say, you're a superstar, and you could be like,
and I would hear, I'm not enough. Yeah, I'd be like, she's making fun of me.
Right.
She's making fun of me because I'm feeling not enough. And maybe I tell a story in my head that when you call me a superstar, oh, she totally said that. She said that like, oh, you think you're a superstar.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because if the message in me, if I'm triggered and the message is I'm not enough, it won't matter what you say.
Right.
That's why to fight over things that trigger us, to fight, because we will fight like it's a black and white thing over things we get triggered over. We'll be like, you definitely meant that. You said that this way.
Yes.
And
we will.
the other person's like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. And so then a fight ensues. And that's a lot of times with apologies, it's so much more in the relationship is I have a trigger, I have an unhealed wound, I have a fear. And instead of addressing and looking at myself and saying, wow, thank you. You just pointed out an area where I need some healing in. We're saying you need to apologize to me because I'm hurting, and I'm hurting because of you. And that's why I love apology languages. But at the same time, I never like to teach it without talking about some things don't need an apology.
I was just going to ask you about that. Mm-hmm.
Some things don't need an apology. Sometimes there's an area where you need to get healed.
Right.
And I'm not saying the other person shouldn't apologize, because I think that if the relationship's important to you, I don't care what's happening. Keep the connection.
Right.
Keep the connection while the person heals. Because think about it. If you're just being irrational, the thing I think that ministers to us the most, to our heart, is that even like if I'm being ridiculous, if you say, I'm so sorry, I would never want to hurt you, I'd be like, okay. You know, like it kind of, I hate to say, we kind of can get out of it a little more graceful. And then hopefully we go to the Lord and we go, Lord, gosh, I was just that when that person said that, I got so angry. What's up with that? And every time, you know, around this area, I get upset or I get hurt. And we just have to learn that just because I'm hurt doesn't mean somebody did something against us.
Offensive.
And so a lot of the gray area stuff, we just, I mean, it just makes a relationship mess.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've thought I've gotten offended by something or something somebody did or said, and I do that. I go like, okay, what is this in me? What did this? Why am I offended by this? And do I really believe that that person meant it the way I am hearing it or taking it? And I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. I think that was me. Or I'm just going to investigate that about myself. But then I will say, if it sticks, if it hurts, if I can't let it go, sometimes I'll bring it up, not even looking for an apology, just want to talk about it with the person. Just so I don't stay stuck in not letting go of that thing, you know?
And so, like, with apology languages and just in life general, when you get offended, you need to decide, like, is this an area that I continually get offended in?
Right.
Is this a wound? Is this a fear? Is this something I need to work on? Because here's the thing. If you have a hurt or you have a wound, no apology is going to heal that.
Right.
They can say they're sorry. They can be genuine. What it will do is kind of keep your connection between you and the other person, but it's not going to heal you. So when that happens again, and it will, when it happens again, you're going to be just as offended. You're going to be just as hurt. But sometimes we do, if we don't take ownership of our emotional health, then 100% we're going to look to other people to do it, and we're going to demand it, and we're going to feel it like it's like they slapped us or they did something very concretely wrong.
Yeah, and it's owed to us.
Yeah, and we will feel that. We get a sense of just like entitlement.
Oh, yeah.
When we get hurt, and we don't take the time to stop and say, okay, you know what? I notice that I often get offended because truly, if you go through life, the beautiful thing about relationships, if you're in, like I would say with your God squad, then you need to understand there's a foundation of goodwill, and that like if I said something or you said something and either one of us were like, you know what, that kind of pricked my heart, the first thing I know that you and I both could say is, I could say, Christina would never say anything rude to me intentionally.
Right.
Like, that doesn't mean I didn't get hurt or I didn't receive it as rude, but I know that would never be your heart to do that.
Yeah, and I think we both I think we both will say, I know this is going on, or they're this and that. And you know, we know each other, so we can go, I know that was about this, or I'm taking that about that, and she's for me, you know. And
that has to be in any type of ongoing relationship. You have to decide before you get offended if that person is for you or against you. Because once you're offended, everybody's against you. Right? Like, everybody is the devil, and everybody's 100%. Out to get you, and everybody is out to hurt you. But if you...
They did it on purpose.
I know. But you have to decide for those ongoing, and I'm not talking about like the person at the gas station. Like, it doesn't... I'm not saying it doesn't matter. They can't hurt your feelings. But if you're in an ongoing relationship, you have to decide whether that person is for you or not.
Yeah.
And if that person is not for you, you maybe need to reevaluate whether you're in that relationship. Because sometimes if we have a spirit of offense on us, what happens in ongoing relationships is we ride the fence. When I'm mad at them, I can say, oh, they're not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I'm not triggered, then I could be like, oh, yeah, they're always supporting me. And so
Yes.
you hear that a lot in relationships.
Yeah.
It's like, well, 1 minute I hear you saying this, but then I hear you saying this, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Because, with some people, not that we're like shock jocks or anything like that, but if somebody comes in here and they're just complaining about somebody, our first
Mhm.
question is going to be like, well, why are you in a relationship with them? And they're offended. They're like, well, because I love that person. So you love being treated that way?
Mhm.
Well, and then they'll almost start defending that
Mhm.
person, because inside, sometimes we really know the person didn't mean it intentionally.
Mhm.
But we need to hang on to our offense.
Yeah.
And in order to hang on to our offense, we really have to do that.
Yeah.
Is
and-
to tell ourselves a
Mhm.
story.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll think, do you just want to be mad? I'm like, I do. I just want to be
But
mad.
and that's okay.
But that's good to be like, I'm
Yes.
just looking for a reason,
because sometimes we just want to be mad.
Right.
And if I can own that I want to be mad,
Mhm.
then I'm not trying to get somebody else to take care of that.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm not trying to be mad. Like, I'll be like, you know what? There's nothing today that can make me okay.
That's right.
And so you just let everybody off the hook around you.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Well, yeah, if your partner, friend, spouse, anybody, if they're in like a super stressful time in their life and they're doing something that's overwhelming or stressful and they snap at you,
Just leave them
well,
alone.
let it go. Yeah. I mean,
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Don't try to open up. Oh my gosh, what
we
you
need to
said.
have a conversation.
Yeah, and making a mountain out of a molehill.
Right.
They're just cranky.
Right.
Give them
Everybody gets cranky sometimes.
What's that? I love those commercials. The hangry commercials.
Give me a break.
Just give them a
Give 'em
Snickers.
Give 'em a Kit Kat bar.
Give them something. But a lot of times when you see somebody's cranky, like, the thing that happens is it makes us uncomfortable. Like, if
Mhm.
somebody's irritable, it makes me uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So I need them not to be irritable. And then the process of trying to get them not to be irritable,
It's very
everybody
frustrating.
everybody gets irritable
Yep.
in it.
Mhm.
But that's where I need to recognize, can I just let somebody be miserable?
Right.
There's sometimes you can come in, if I'm working on something, I can be frustrated. If
Mhm.
you come in and you're working on something and you're frustrated,
Mhm.
we'll just leave each other alone. And be
Yeah.
like, okay.
You want to go get something to eat later?
I'll be like,
And then like,
Mom, can we go get a
"Okay."
snack?
Yeah. and then we're good.
yes.
Yeah.
Because and I think that's definitely a sign of health, that you can just let somebody not be okay. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to rock your world or
Yeah.
change your world. But that's a skill
Yeah.
people have to learn.
Yeah, and I would say 9 times out of 10,
Mhm.
I mean, there are going to be times, especially I think with a spouse, like if you're going
Yeah.
through something together that's stressful, but most of the time it doesn't happen on the same day.
It doesn't.
Like,
Hopefully.
You
Yeah.
very rarely, for us at least, it's
Yeah. But
so.
if you're talking about apology languages, like I said, we're bringing all this extra, I would call extra, but it's not really extra, into it, because you have to understand there's so much that goes into
Mhm.
apologies.
Yeah.
The spirit of offense. Am I owed an apology? First of all, you're not owed anything
That's
in
right.
life. That sense of entitlement will make you miserable.
Mhm.
But that spirit of offense can make you have that entitlement about apologies. But
Mhm.
I will say, if it's not a concrete black and white offense, that 99.9% of the world, and I hate to even say that because people, it's so cute. People will throw out statistics to me all the time. I'll be like, where'd you get that? We
The
know where they got it. They just know out of nowhere. You just literally made that up. Or somebody will say to me, wouldn't you agree? Anytime somebody says that, and I will honestly, I'll be like, no, I would not agree with that.
Yeah, it's
Wouldn't
true,
you
will.
agree that most people would feel blah, 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 blah? No, I don't agree with that, because it's about perspective.
100%.
And you can make anything slanted in your favor if you're looking to be right.
Yes, you can.
And so when we talk about apology languages, so many things come up with
Mhm.
relationships, and with different apology languages, that you need. It really, stuff like that comes up, because if you're triggered is really different than somebody doing something wrong to you.
Yep.
It really is.
Yep.
If you're triggered, you just need to own you're triggered and be like, you know what? I'm upset about this, but I recognize that a lot of this is just coming from baggage that I'm bringing into this. Because two things can be true at one time. Somebody can have offended you, but your offense can be from a lot of previous things also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not everything requires an I was wrong. And like I said, sometimes there's people that just need to hear I was wrong. But again, black and white offenses, it's easy to say I was wrong. But the subjective thing, the people that have the accepting responsibility, apology language, you need to understand when you are triggered versus when somebody has done a wrong to you.
Right.
Very, 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 very different.
You know what else you can say?
Tell me.
You were right.
You were right. I got triggered. That's kind of turning it around on the
No, I mean
person.
like if you said, "Hey, what you said to me or what you did, blah blah blah," and they're like,
That's
"You're
true.
right. I'm
right.
sorry. I missed that, or I got that wrong."
They want to hear that.
You're
or
right.
I'm wrong though. They want to hear it.
I'm teasing.
I
It's just because
know,
I like
but
to
I
hear.
love that 'cause
You were right.
You're right. You're right. I was wrong. That would be like the pinnacle for accepting responsibility. But that's where I want to, like I said, I want to point out there's ways that you can always take responsibility, even if you don't feel like you were wrong in it. Just take responsibility. Wow, I hurt you, and man, I'm wrong. I don't want to hurt you. I'm totally
Right.
wrong in that.
Right.
And there's always a way that you can do it, because remember, you want to restore the connection, and that's sometimes, I think, so more important than anything else. Anything else. You know what I mean? Like if you're working in corporate or something, I think a lot of times people don't want to say I'm wrong.
Oh yeah,
Because
definitely.
they think of it as a weakness. But you've really, that would be, I say, at work, you have an ongoing relationship with people you don't necessarily choose to be in a relationship with, but out of, context and working there, you have to keep that relationship moving forward. So in that, really think about, like, at work, what are you going to do? What are the ways that you could take ownership without having to admit fault? And for other people too, not making about fault. Like if somebody was going to send you an email and they didn't send you an email, you don't have to point it out on Zoom. Like if you have a Zoom meeting, or if you have an in-person meeting, like you don't have to put people on blast all the time.
No,
Like nobody likes
that's
that.
not trying to
No.
be respectful.
No.
That's just trying to embarrass somebody.
You have to keep working with people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but sometimes, like I said, and with different types of apology languages, then, people kind of perceive that as more of a power struggle than restoring a relationship. And that's why I mentioned work, because sometimes at work you have an ongoing relationship, but it's not really one you want to.
You're not trying to maintain a connection with them.
Exactly. And so in those relationships, I think you just have to be a little wiser sometimes, because even though you may not want to have a connection with that person may further you in your career. And I don't mean that like in a
Using way.
way, but just in you got to get along with everybody at work.
Yeah, you got to be smart.
If you work with somebody, you got, you go forward, they go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
and you got to maintain a professional connection.
Yeah. So key points is I was wrong. They need to hear I was wrong, period. I would say that's another point to make. If in taking responsibility, let's say this is a black and white thing.
Okay.
Right? In a black and white thing, they just want to hear you were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And in a black and white thing, it's very easy to do that. But a lot of times what happens is we want to provide context.
Yeah, explain.
And
Mm-hmm.
those need to happen at separate times. if I, like I said, if I said that I'm going to pick up your dry cleaning and I totally forgot your dry cleaning, oh my gosh, I'm so wrong. I said I was going to do it and I didn't do it. I'm totally in the wrong. Now, if I come back and say, but there was traffic, but blah, blah, like that's very offensive to an accepting responsibility person. If you're wrong, just own it and just say I'm wrong. You can come back later if you think you need to clarify, come back a day later and say, you know what, I just wanted again to say I apologize. I was wrong when I didn't pick it up, but I want you to know that you're important to me, and me not doing that was on me. It wasn't a reflection of how I feel about you. Like, there's ways that you can come back and provide context, but usually understand when you need to give context, that's about you, not about the other person.
Oh, I 100% want to give context.
And most people do. But it comes off, if you're making an apology, if you give context as you're making an apology, it comes off as an excuse, especially for a
black and white
accepting responsibility apology language person. Don't do those two things anywhere near each other. Like the expressing regret, I'm so sorry. That's almost encouraged to do. Like, I'm so sorry.
Oh.
If I could redo that, I would have totally changed my plans, or I would have made sure I had enough time. So you can have a little bit more context in other ones. I would say not in taking responsibility or making restitution. They don't care. They just, you fix it.
Tell me you were wrong.
That's right. And so those, they don't want to hear a lot of explanation about it. Yeah. So that's an interesting one in that taking ownership of the wrong is extremely important to the accepting responsibility person. If it's, like I said, if it's black and white, you need to just own it. Don't try to give an excuse. Don't try to minimize it. Don't try to rationalize it. That's where you just get out in front of it. I was wrong. I just want to say I was wrong. I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. Like I said, it's great if you hit all apology languages, but you better lead with I'm wrong if it's an accepting responsibility person.
I'm not that hardcore, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I say. Yours really is not. That's not your
No,
primary one.
It's definitely not.
Yeah. But hardcore accepting responsibility, like you just light up their little love panel if you're like, I'm wrong, 100% wrong, totally wrong. I could not be more wrong. Like, especially, like I said, if it's a black and white thing. If it's a subjective thing, then that's where I turn to the accepting responsibility person and say, what part of that are your wounds, and what part of that is truly that they wronged you? And so that's where it gets a little bit messy.
I don't want to take you off track, but I have another question. If you want to. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want.
We got to move it along.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you? I find that it's some people it's harder to apologize to. What can you talk a little bit about why that would be?
Well, I think some people just want to be mad, and some people just want to fight. And if somebody doesn't want, if they'd rather be right versus restore connection, what are you going to do?
So that would make it harder to go to. Like, there's some people I have no problem being like, I'll easily I'll proactively apologize.
I'd say that on the part of, like, if the other person's given off a don't even talk to me vibe, like that's that. But also on our side, like, is somebody saying, man, there's just this type of person that I have a hard time apologizing, and I can apologize to anybody else, but this person, the first thing I would ask is, who's that person remind you of?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Because it depends on which side it's on, and most times it's a combination of it.
Yeah.
But there are some people that'll just be like, there is nothing that you can do except just die and get out of my face. And there's just, you've got to recognize there's just some people like that.
Yeah, that's true.
That there's nothing, you're dead to them, and the faster you realize that, the
yeah,
the better.
yeah.
But
That's good.
if it's on your side, then who do they remind you of?
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. So let's, we've kind of gone over most of this just organically, but if there's a accepting responsibility, if that's their apology language, don't make excuses, don't blame, don't use but, and absolutely 100% don't point out their part, because if you're wrong, they don't have a part in it. But remember, like, and what I love about accepting responsibility is everybody can accept responsibility in something. But if you have someone that has a apology language of accepting responsibility, don't even try to say, now, do you want to apologize to me for your part? Like, no, they do not.
You shouldn't go into an apology expecting
No.
to get one in return.
No.
It's just for you.
Yeah.
You
And
owning your part.
And it's part of taking ownership, like in general with your emotions. No, like apologize because it's the thing to do,
Yeah.
because you want to restore connection.
Yeah.
You want to keep ongoing connection.
Yeah.
So some examples of what wrong, accepting responsibility would look like is, I made a big mistake. At the time, I didn't think much about what I was doing, but in retrospect, I guess that is the problem. I wish I had thought before I ate what I did was wrong. And I would say this, to me, this example incorporates expressing regret as well as, because a lot of times you can't just, it's hard to just solely use one language to apologize. We organically will kind of mix and interweave. But for the ongoing relationships in your life, you really need to understand what their first door they need to hear. Anybody who's accepting responsibility, if it's a black and white thing right out of the gate, I was so wrong. So wrong. I wronged you. It's me. It's on me. It's all me. Yeah. And then their heart just
flutters.
Yes.
With love.
Yeah. Just, but it's the same for like expressing regret. For me, you better lead with I'm sorry, or get out of my face. Lead with I'm sorry. Like, but some people, like I said, will say, well, what am I sorry for? I'm not wrong. Like an accepting responsibility person or apology language and an expressing regret, that kind of bump heads a little bit because it's just almost the opposite. I repeated a mistake that we discussed before. I really messed up. I know that it was my fault. That's
good.
Lighten up the love panel of an apology language that's accepting responsibility. That was so thoughtless of me. I thought I was being funny, but obviously hurting you like I have is not funny. All on me. Totally my fault.
Ooh.
I'm so sorry. All my fault.
Let's be clear.
Yes.
I completely 100% missed the mark.
Yes. Totally. Stone me. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But in that, we're going to wrap it up for that. We will make it next week. I think we are going to have to do one a session. But what I like is that we're really filtering in a lot of other information that's pertinent to apology languages. Because like I said, if it's not a black and white thing, there's a different flavor in one, So making next week we're going to be talking about making restitution, and I would say making restitution, that's another one that's kind of be like a little black and white.
Okay.
In the way that
it's very clear what they're looking for.
Yeah, like if I forgot to pick up your dry cleaning, if you were making restitution, then I were using dry cleaning. But if I used, like, say, for expressing regret, if I forgot to pick up your dry cleaning, I'm so sorry. I forgot to pick up your dry cleaning. It just completely slipped my mind. I apologize. I'm so sorry. That's it. For an expressing regret. That's all you got to do. For an accepting responsibility. Oh my gosh, I was so wrong. I can't believe I've wronged you this way. I told you that I was going to pick it up and I didn't. I'm wrong. That's accepting responsibility. Making restitution is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was so wrong. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave right now and I'm going to go get it and I'm going to bring it to you.
But it's closed.
Well, first thing in the morning, I'm headed there.
I got to fly out before that. I'm going to the store to buy you clothes.
I'm screwed.
I'll be what size do you wear?
I know. Because restitution and the problem even with like making restitution, there's some things you can't make restitution on.
I know, that's what I was just thinking.
And that's kind of what you were pointing out
Yeah.
with, but you better try.
That's right.
You better try. And you better know that you are in the red and you owe that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get back, I'll take you to dinner.
It's not, nope, not the same. But so when we're going through, I love that we're going through the apology languages because I really, really love them. Like I said, a lot of things come up during it, but also you can see how many different ways we can be offended.
Yeah.
It's
It's really hard for some people to
It
apologize.
is. And to receive,
yes.
to apologize and to receive an apology.
Agreed.
Yes. And because if you have a wound or if you're hurt or if you and the person you have an ongoing relationship, if there's just built up offense after offense after offense, or if you are apologizing to them continuously in the wrong apology language, it's not going to get worked through. It's not going to get healed and they're not going to feel hurt.
Right.
But again, if you have a wound in that area, that's your side of the fence to clean up.
That's right.
Like two things can be true. They might have hurt you, but it can also not be something that they did.
Right.
But that's something that triggers a lot of old baggage for you. So next week, what are we talking about?
Making restitution.
Making restitution. And so let's pray. Dear Lord, we just humbly come before you and we thank you so much. We thank you, Lord, that you are just constantly calling us up and just higher and higher in ways to just learn how to get along with people, Lord, and just how to just apologize. Lord, I just thank you that you just pour out an anointing of apology on everybody. And Lord, that we would care more about keeping our connection, keeping our love on, keeping our relationship intact than we do about being right or wrong or fighting about whose fault it is. Lord, let us be quick to apologize in all circumstances. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. See you next week.
Yep. That's pretty good.
Yes, man, there's a lot to